Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى، وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى، لا سيما المصطفى صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Dear brothers and sisters everywhere, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda. As usual, I'd like to remind you with our contact informations, beginning with the phone numbers: area code 002, then 023855 248 or 249, and the email address is ask@huda.tv or gardens@huda.tv, and the Facebook page is M Salah Official. And with our first caller today, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Hashir from Bahrain. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking. Barakallahu feekum.
Allah barak feek. Sheikh, my question is regarding what is the concept of Ithna Ashariya?
Now,
and like where do we, like as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, stand in this at this point? And were all these the people who came, the scholars, if they were they like from the same like sect from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, or were they deviated from this path?
okay.
This is my question, please.
طيب. Barakallah feek. Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you. I intended before to make like a whole episode, very comprehensive, to speak about Shia in general and the different sects and so on. So it would be like a reference instead of having to answer many questions, including the Ithna Ashariya and so on, and all the ahadith in this regard, and the major differences between Shia and Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and so on. Accordingly, I would request you to be a little patient until inshallah I put together this episode, so you answer all these questions inshallah Azza Jal. Barakallah feek, Brother Hashir from Bahrain. It's a very common question whether this sect of the Shia are close to Ahlul Sunnah or not, or Shia in general, are they Muslims or not. Even though I've answered these questions repeatedly and in many occasions, but it seems like it would be best if we can put all of that together like in one episode, where it will be also available on our webpage for the reference for everybody's convenience, inshallah. Brother Muhammad says in his question, is talking about your manager considered backbiting? I believe he does not do a good job, and I explain that to my co-workers. Okay. What is the definition of ghiba in Islam? The Prophet ﷺ said, mentioning somebody else in his absence with what he dislikes is ghiba, is backbiting. It's as simple as that. So whenever you have the urge to say something about somebody else, think about it. Is it something to discredit him, dishonor him, to criticize him? And if this criticism constructive, or you mean to destroy his reputation, what is the purpose? In your case, you said that mentioning the manager, his drawbacks, his failure, or whatever. What is the purpose of that? Is it in a meeting where we're discussing seriously how to improve our performance, or we just pick on one person or another in his or her absence? If it is the latter, then this is called the typical ghiba. But if a senior or a manager of your manager, a company owner, the employer of everybody, requested my testimony, then in this case I should deliver my testimony fairly, without hiding under the excuse of, I'm afraid to say something which will be considered backbiting. Similarly, if I'm asked about one person who's proposing to somebody's daughter, and her guardian is asking me, this person claims to know you, he says he's one of your students or he's your neighbor, and I know this person is terrible. He's not good to even marry anyone. Then I'm not supposed to be quiet and say he's good inshallah and let go, because this is called a testimony. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jacka from Gambia, assalamu alaikum. Okay, please try again. No problem. The phone was cut off. Try again. So what really determines is your intention, number one, and your intelligence. Like, I'm talking about his performance at work. I'm not talking about his height. I'm not talking about his belly, his stomach. I'm not talking about the way he combs his hair, the way he smells, the way he looks like. I'm talking about professionally and in a professional meeting to judge, to evaluate the performance of your manager or your employee and so on. In this condition, it is permissible, and you should not exceed the boundaries of talking about your profession. Okay? Because this is called shahada. وَأَقِيمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ لِلَّهِ. And I give another example of the testimony of marriage or at the court, before the judge. We need your testimony. What do you think of this person? So some people say, I don't want to talk about him. It will be backbiting. The judge is ordering you because based on your vouchering, your recommendation will determine whether this person is trustworthy or not. Somebody is about to do a business with somebody else and you know that this guy is not trustworthy. In this case, you should say within the scope or the limit of what you're being asked about. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sister Zahra from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I want to ask a question.
Now,
are you allowed to fill in powder in the eyebrows, but you're not shaping them?
I would kindly request you to repeat the question again. You're talking about the eyebrows, right?
Yeah. There's a powder if you can fill in the eyebrows with. Are you allowed to do that?
You're talking about bleaching?
No, there is a powder which you can fill in the eyebrows with.
Okay. So what would the powder do exactly? Like thicken the eyebrows?
It would fill in the gaps in your eyebrows, but you can remove it.
Oh, I see. Okay. In this case, I don't think would be anything wrong with it. The prohibition is with regards to removing the eyebrows or any part of it by shaving or plucking the eyebrows or so. But like, to treat any drawbacks by filling in the gaps with the powder, no problem. Barakallahu fiki. Thank you, Sister Zahra. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Abu Safwan from Kuwait.
Hello, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Brother Abu Safwan? Welcome to the program.
Alhamdulillah, fine. Thanks a lot. Jazakallah. Sheikh, I have a question. It is from Calgary. My son, he asked me to ask you. So what I have been told that a friend of his, he wanted to marry to a girl, and obviously she is from a Muslim family, but long time before. Her father divorced her mother, and as such he has no link with them, no relation, and he is not giving them any monthly spending or nothing. There is no relation between. And other thing, she married to a Christian lady, and she's indulged in some kind of
what do you mean she married to a Christian lady?
She divorced her mother and she married to another lady. She is Christian. Okay? And he is involved in drinking and eating pork, everything. But now she wants to, and they are Kurdish by race. Now they wanted to him, she married to a Muslim boy, but his father, she just asked because of there is a reason, being Muslim, he asked for permission, being a wali, though he's not taking any responsibility, not fulfilling his duties. But his father not giving her the permission, the reason being that he is not Kurdish. He is from Pakistan. So once you have given your ruling in one of the cases that since Islam doesn't agree with this kind of racism and all those, and there was Salman Farsi and Bilal Habshi, so have Rumi radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So as in Islam there is no such thing, and she can go to Qazi, and if there is no Qazi, she can go to the Imam. So, but I wanted to ask you again this question. Her father is not agreeing, so what she has to do in this case?
Did you guys ask him and he said, I do not agree, I do not approve this marriage because he is not from my ethnicity?
Yes, he said that he is not Kurdish, so he is not agree.
Okay.
While as such, he has no linkage, no, he's not taking any responsibility. He's just, he's adamant.
Okay. And let me ask another question. The man who is proposing to this girl now, is he a good person?
Yes, he's a good person, he's a Muslim, and he is from Pakistan.
Okay, these are enough credentials to be good. Okay, barakallah feek. Thank you. Next, assalamu alaikum. Brother, sister Ahmed from the case, say assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah, barakallah feeki.
Jazakallah for all the knowledge you gave it to us. It's really beneficial to my whole family.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah accept from all of us. Go ahead, sister Ahmed.
Yeah, I want to ask one question, doctor.
No.
About we travel once in a year to Pakistan, but I live in Saudi Arabia. I'm an expatriate living in Saudi Arabia, but I travel once in a year to Pakistan, but only for 10 days or a week. So what kind of prayer shall I perform? I perform a qasr prayer, or shall I perform the full prayers? Because in Pakistan I have my parents and I have a house over there in Pakistan.
No. Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry?
Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you so much.
Okay, wajazakum. Okay, many people are confused when they move to another country to work as expats, then they go for a vacation, couple weeks, a month, every year. So they're confused whether they should pay full or they are eligible to shorten their prayer, assuming that they are going back home. What really matters is the residency is where you're staying your full time. So if you go back to spend a vacation, to visit your parents in the city where you were born and raised, but now you're not living there. If you stay less than 4 days, you pray qasr. Well, if you stay 10 days, as you say, then it doesn't matter. You don't have to ask whether this is like, my old residency or I have a house here or not, because it's already 10 days, so you should pray full and regular. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Sharif from the USA.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sharif, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have a quick question. I wanted to find out, my sister is basically 20 years old, and we have been talking to her for the past couple of years about hijab. And basically the other day, I gave her the option of either to put the hijab on or that I wouldn't pay or support her through her college. And I wanted to know if that's correct or if that's not. She's 20 years old, and it's not something that came overnight. We've been talking to her for quite a while, and we've tried using Huda and wisdom, and tried showing her videos and everything else that we've tried doing what we could. And it's to the point where, we had a conversation with her and told her that this is what needs to be done, this is Allah's command, and so on.
Okay. She's only 10, right?
I'm sorry?
How? She's 10 years old or 13 years old?
No, 20 years
20, okay, 20 years old. I see. Let me ask you about the history. I mean, before, where did she study? Did she go to like an Islamic school? I mean, is she praying? Is she practicing?
No, she prays and she's fasting, but no, I mean, she was not, she didn't, well, she was raised and brought up partially in the U.S. and in Dubai, in the UAE.
Okay. One more question, which is...
And of course, I mean, my cousins her age and everybody else her age, are wearing the hijab and so on. And, we've been trying to talk to her about this situation, and it hasn't stuck. So, I mean, it's to the point where we've said everything that we can, and the only thing left is to take action, I believe, I mean, in my opinion.
Okay, one more question, Brother Sharif, because this is a very sensitive
Yes.
issue. It's not like, a shortcut. If we're living in a Muslim society, I would back you up 100% and say that is the right decision. I ain't paying you to disobey Allah, but I'm talking about, for a girl at this age and living in the U.S. My question is, whom does she hang around with? I mean, what is the possibility that, God forbid, if she's grounded, if you're not paying her anything towards her college education, that she may go out or go with?
No, actually, she lives in Saudi now.
Oh, she's living in Saudi and she's still persistent not to wear hijab.
Yes.
Okay, and she's studying in Saudi.
Yes. But it's a private college, so it's not like they enforce the hijab.
So
That's another
you mean
issue
in the
that I
college
have.
in Saudi, the girl goes out to the school without wearing hijab?
Well, when she walks into school, but they don't enforce it in school. So I mean, they're allowed to take it off in school, but, it's not enforced.
Then we should stop talking about non-Muslim countries and, the suffering of Muslims in non-Muslim countries and so on. Okay. طيب, inshallah, I'll answer because we have another call from the States. Brother Hanif from the USA. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have a question.
No.
Basically, I have been as an accountant with a construction company.
Mm-hmm.
The license is construct and residential buildings.
Brother Hanif, unfortunately your voice is breaking off. I can't hear you clearly. I got that you're working in a construction company.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
No. Yes.
Okay. So I have been offered as a job of an accountant with a construction company that constructs different office, industrial, and residential buildings. And for the purpose of the construction, the company gets a loan from the bank, and the accountant have to account for the interest incurred. And this will be a small portion of my job that I will be doing. So the thing is, should I take this job considering that I will always encounter interest some way or the other in my profession?
No, wait a minute, Hanif. Basically, your job as an engineer or in a construction company have nothing to do with the loan, right?
No, accountant. My job will be as an accountant.
I see. You are an accountant. Okay.
Yeah.
One more thing. What do you do
Yes.
in the audit? I mean, do you process the loan contract? And
No, as far as I understand, because this is a new job for me and I had offered this job, so my understanding of the job is that I will only have to account for the interest. I may have to gather the documents in order to...
you mean you keep the books?
Sorry?
You keep the books?
I keep the books, but also I've understood, I think these two scenarios, I will only have account for the interest, and the other scenario is that I may have to account plus provide the company with documents so they can get the loan from the bank.
Okay. You'll be able to help me to answer you right now. The Prophet ﷺ held blameworthy those who would either do the contract or write it down or witness it. The Prophet ﷺ said in the sound hadith, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ الرِّبَا آكِلَهُ وَمُؤْكِلَهُ وَكَاتِبَهُ وَشَاهِدَيْهِ. Count with me. الرِّبَا itself. آكِلَهُ وَمُؤْكِلَهُ. The one who pays and the one who charges and the one who pays. You see the debtor and the borrower. وَكَاتِبَهُ. And the person who would write down the contract, in this case is the accountant, okay, or the clerk. وَشَاهِدَيْهِ. The witnesses who would testify to this contract. If you're involved by any means in this contract, then it is absolutely prohibited. I have no say in that. But the scholars say it for a bookkeeper who keeps the record of the ins and the outs of the company, and he's not involved in making the decision or the interest or calculating interest or giving advices which interest rate is better, like from this bank or that bank. They say because it's hard to find a job for an accountant in a company which does not deal with interest at all. This is exempt. But if you are dealing with the contract directly, you have anything to do with it according to the hadith, then you should not be a part of it. If all your job is halal, then everything is halal except this part. If you can be excluded from it, then that's perfectly fine. Basically, I asked you initially if you are a construction engineer because you said it's a construction company. Why? Because all the workers in the companies who just work in a halal field and they get paid their salaries from the company, even if the company is borrowing with interest or lending with interest or investing their money in the bank, this is none of our business. I'm there to do a certain job. I'm a construction engineer. I'm a doctor in a hospital which is investing in any other haram field, or the hospital itself does miscarriage and so on and encourages that. But what do? I'm not involved in this in a way or another, then my job is halal. But if your involvement is in the interest contract, then that is not permissible within the scope of this contract itself. Barakallah fi. Jazakallah khairan. Hanif, I have something to share with you with regards to Brother Hanif's question. I've been thinking about it since yesterday. Throughout my life, I went through plenty of experiences, and through the da'wah work, a lot of people, alhamdulillah, shukrillah, have benefited from this da'wah work. So I have also their experiences on file with me. What I can tell you right now, 100%, من ترك شيئا لله أبدله الله خيرا منه. من ترك شيئا لله أبدله الله خيرا منه. Whoever abandons or gives up anything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that thing is prohibited or there is doubt in it, most surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace it with what is better. What is better financially, materially, on every level, in addition to gaining the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when somebody is given an offer or a proposal, very high paid salary, or a business contract which is unbeatable, but it is haram, and as Hanif does, before even accepting the job, he's looking into the contract, what is halal and what is haram. So when he saw that there is shubha or doubt in it, even though the chances are very limited to find another job, but he says, listen, I'm not going to do anything that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does Allah say about Himself? He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو الْقُوَّةِ الْمَتِينَ in Surah Al-Dhariyat. Al-Razzaq is an extensive form of a provider. So He does not only give once or twice, He is the only source of giving. He is the all giver. He is the all and the only provider. ذُو الْقُوَّةِ, the owner of all the power and mighty. Yani, to give whomever He wills, He does. To restrict and restrain the provision of whomever He wills, He does. This is how we should deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially when it comes to the matter of rizq and provision. What worries us most is our provision. The reason why people disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and challenge Him and eat haram most is fear of lack of provision, or trying to gain more provision. So they act blind and deaf, and they act negligent of all the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Initially, they're shy to do it. Then gradually they get used to it, they get sucked in completely inside it, so they become surrounded with haram from all different directions, 360, they cannot get out of it. Because they cannot give up the lifestyle that they established from haram. And in this regard, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِنَّ رُوحَ الْقُدُسِ نفث في روعي أنه لن تموت نفس حتى تستوفي رزقها وأجلها فأجملوا في الطلب. فأجملوا في الطلب. ولا يحملن أحدكم استبطاء الرزق أن يطلبه بمعصية الله فإن ما عند الله لا يطلب بمعصيته. This hadith is very fascinating. He says sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith that Jibreel, angel Gabriel, peace be upon him, inspired him with a revelation from Allah the Almighty that no soul shall expire or leave this life missing anything of its provision or lifespan, even a bit. Every person will get what Allah has preordained and destined for them. So if this is the case, no one should rush the provision by seeking it from haram, because the provision is possessed and controlled by Allah, and Allah does not give to anyone anything against His will. So if you think that you're only earning this because that is the only opening, and if you did not do it, you would not be provided, that's foolish. Because if you did not do it, it would have still come to you, because that is your provision. You just rushed. You rushed to take it from haram. It is not something that you're doing against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, against His wish. Yes, He doesn't want you to earn haram. But He gave you the option, the free choice to choose whether to do it or not, to test you. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, none of you should rush the rizq by seeking it from haram. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Ahmed from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good evening.
Good evening to Brother Ahmed. Go ahead.
This is a follow-up question. Last 2 weeks you answered one of my questions concerning zakat.
Now.
I have a house. I own a house, my own house. And I decided to buy another plot of land, a big one.
Mm-hmm.
That I intend to build a bigger house. Then I bought another land to build a shop. So do I pay the cut on the piece of the two plots of land, or I don't have to pay? And if I am to pay the zakat, how do I calculate it? Is it based on the price I bought the plot of land, or on the current price that I will have to look at?
Okay, Brother Ahmed, you do not owe any zakah on neither property. Why? Because one you purchased to build and move into a bigger house, so this is yours, even though you still possess the old house. And the other one you bought with the intention of building a shop. So basically the zakah will be due on, if you ever rent the shop, it will be on the rent, on the profit, after covering all the expenses. Then the left over, or the profit which is generated out of the rent. Or if you use the shop to sell your own commodities, then the profit that is generated, the cash of all of that, in addition to the goods, their values at the time of the sale and at the time of paying the zakah, will be added up and you pay zakah on that. But the properties themselves, whether the property which you bought to build a shop or to build a bigger house, are not zakatable. Now we're going to take a short break, and inshallah we'll be with you back in a couple minutes. Stay tuned.
Imagine that the Anbiya, they were the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had the hardest life.
He assumed that he had some kind of superiority and he was a better, more chosen, better person because he had this wealth. And then you look at all the other people who had wealth, and some of them were the worst people. You had Fir'aun and
reviving your niyyah time and again, that you're doing insincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Most of the youth, they think, oh, I'm going to pray when I'm old, it's okay, now I'll have fun in my life. Later on I'll work, I'll go on my bed, I'll pray 5 times a day. And all these things, they think that's later on in their life, and they don't know when they will die.
Amira, who's your role model?
Khadija radiallahu anha.
And why?
Because she was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife, and she was the first lady to believe in Islam.
We can't just take knowledge and keep it as information. We have to transfer it into action. When he got up, he said one thing. Asalla nas? Did the people pray? In Hajj, for example, the primary example of how multiculturalism really looks like. All equal. I've got a dentist in Canada. Even though he's ripping holes in my teeth, he's got great akhlaq. I love visiting. Identify the issue. Analyze it. Challenge it. And then try again. Because if you fail, big deal. Try again and keep trying.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Brother Sharif from the US, the question is very tough because, you know, you shocked me when you said that she is insistent on not wearing hijab while she's living in Saudi, while she's living in a Muslim country, and she's going to school in a Muslim country. You know, this whole scenario is not happening in the States. And can you imagine, this is somebody who's calling from the States to ask about this question with regards to his sister or a girl under his guardianship who's living in a Muslim society. Because he says that the university allows free mixing and allows not wearing hijab and so on. And when she goes out, she must wear hijab, but when she goes to the campus, she's free to take off the hijab. I would not blame you if you decided to execute your plan and to stop funding her if she is not complying with you, because she's not complying with you, rather with the command and the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I only said so, and I know that it is very tough. I mean, that should be the last resort. It isn't easy for me to resort to this choice, but you said that you tried everything according to your statement. The guidance, kind advices, people talk to her, remind her of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she's living amongst Muslims. You know, I'm afraid that the person have to take the decision, and Americans sometimes do that. They ground their children if they do not comply with their worldly orders. If they come late home, they say, you're grounded. If she goes out to somebody, you're grounded. Why? Because you broke my orders. You live under my roof. I cover your expenses, and so on. And I hope you don't have to make this choice, but if that is the only resort, it is your call. I wouldn't blame you if you decided to do that. But again, please, make dua for her, and I encourage all the viewers to make dua for her. Sometimes the heart has what is known as ghashawa, like a veil over the sight and the heart. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove that veil and expose our hearts to His nur, to His light, because when we know that the command and the order is coming from Allah, what happens? We love it. We try to do whatever pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Especially, there are helping means and factors. You're living amongst Muslims. You know, I was afraid that she is in an American school where people would give her that look, or she's being harassed or persecuted. She's living next to the haram. So what is your problem? May Allah guide you to what is best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Rahma from Kuwait. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Rahma.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa
Sheikh. How are you?
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Sheikh. First, I have one question first. I would like to know if we have to perform a measure ghusl, and we want to take ordinary bath. Do we have to take the bath first, or we have to make the wudu first?
Now you can do two in
Then
one.
the second thing.
Now you can do two
and
in
the
one.
second thing, two in one, because if you make the ghusl, no need for to put the soap or anything, no. So if I have to take a ghusl or I have to take ordinary.
طيب, inshallah, we'll elaborate on that after you finish your questions. Go ahead.
Okay. The second thing, thank you very much, Sheikh, about this question for Sharif, because I have the same problem. I have married with a man. Before, when he come to my house, because in my house we are Muslim, we have masjid, so he's praying, he's doing everything. Then he had to me that he's not praying and he's drinking alcohol, he's doing zina, everything. Then after I come to know, I ask him to give me, because it's haram. I do everything that he should have to pray, he's not praying. And alhamdulillah, I try to educate my kids. I have two boys, they know how to pray, everything. I sent my kids also to him to talk to him that is not good, that he's not praying, everything, but he not listen. So I talked to him that there is really haram between me and him, that he is not praying, me I'm praying, that is haram between me and him to get married. So I asked him to give me divorce. I want to go because we are living in Kuwait, but we have our home country also in Africa. So I decided to give up. I have my work in the hospital. Alhamdulillah, everything is good for me. But the only thing I don't like my life, because he's not praying, he's not doing anything. I would like to give up everything and go back to my home country. But he don't want to hear anything. I asked him to give me divorce. He don't want anything. And he's still doing zina, he's still drinking alcohol, everything bad he's doing. I talked to him even last April, Sheikh. I paid with my money, took him to Umrah with him, so that maybe he would think. Then again, when we come back again, the same thing is doing, Sheikh. So from this time, I decided that I have to take this decision. Now, when you're talking about Sharif, like if you are talking about me, thank you very much, and I need more dua, make for me dua, praise for me also.
Barakallahu fiki, jazakillahu khair. Yes, sometimes the person have to take a very hard decision. It's not only hard on the other party, but it is hard on me personally. Imagine that Nuh alayhi salam was begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to spare his son. And what he said in the ayah said, Rabbi, inna bani min ahli wa inna wa'daka al-haq. My Lord, he's my son. He's of my family members. He belongs to me. He's my blood. He's my flesh. Inna bani min ahli. He wanted him to be saved. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had not preordained for him salvation. So what did he say to Nuh alayhi salam? A prophet. A prophet. Subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Qasas, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُهْتَدِينَ. He addressed Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam because of a similar situation. He said, Muhammad, you guide not those whom you love. It is Allah who guides whomever He wills, and He knows best who deserves to be rightly guided in His infinite knowledge. So he said to Nuh alayhi salam, إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ. He is not your son anymore. He does not belong to your family anymore. إِنَّهُ عَمَلٌ غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ. It's an unrighteous work. So basically, the person will continue to support and give advices after advices, but sometimes people do not learn the easy way. They choose the hard way. An American sister, Revert, she called me and she said that I'm married to an Egyptian guy. And I'm supporting him from my own money. My husband passed away and he left his, retirement money. And I married this guy. I made a hijrah to learn the deen. And initially he pretended to be religious. Then afterward I figured out that he is not. Not only that, he was drinking. And I caught him bringing women to my flat, which she paid for it and supporting him from her money. She got him a car and all of that. So we decided to help the sister, and we investigated the case, and we went to the house, and I believe we had Musa Magwar with us, and we talked to the husband, and he admitted all of that. So I saw he's very blunt. So we had to make the hard decision and force him to divorce her because he was not willing to change. Now, he was a threat for her and for her children, that he's going to mislead them. She made hijrah, she came to a Muslim country to stick to her deen and religious commitment, and she's paying him, not the other way around. So we had to help her to get rid of him. But we, of course, do not take things for granted or believe in any statement that is said on air. We have to investigate. And that's why I keep repeating. The answer is general. We don't know the persons. We don't know the names. We're just giving a general answer as if it comes in writing. If the husband is like that, if the son or if the daughter is like that and they're misbehaving, the person have to try all possible means. Guidance, kind advices, counseling, treatment, ruqya, let smart people, righteous people speak to them, address them, try to help them out. If none of that works, then آخر الدواء الكي. Then I'm not going to support you out of my money to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to hurt yourself, or to hurt me. Barakallah fikum. Brother Abu Safwan from Kuwait. Before Abu Safwan, let me answer Sister Rahma's first question from Kuwait as well. If somebody is undergoing a major impurity and due to take a bath to remove the major impurity, which is called ghusl, and meanwhile they want to take a shower, it can be 2 in 1. So I can take a shower, but make sure that I wash my entire body, preceded with an intention of removing the major impurity. That's it. It will be sufficient. It can be 3 in 1. When I intend also to perform wudu, so with this shower, with this ghusl, which includes wudu as a sunnah, it will be sufficient after I perform the ghusl to pray right away afterward. I'm not required to perform any wudu, as long as it was intended, that is ghusl. Okay. Yeah, Abu Safwan, the family in Calgary, in Canada, the parents are separated, the father is disconnected completely from the family, he's not even supporting the family, not looking after them, and now the girl wants to get married and she has a good proposal. By now he intervened and he said, I don't approve it because of the ethnicity, يعني racism and prejudice and so on. And yes, you're right. We said before that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Julaybib, may Allah be pleased with him, a broke person who is not nice looking but a very subordinary person. And he said, go to such and such house and say that the Prophet ﷺ is asking you to give me your daughter in marriage. Islam came to remove these partitions of race, of color, of ethnicity, and so on. Simply the Prophet ﷺ said, إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وأمانته فزوجوه. If a person whom you trust his religious commitment and his akhlaq, which is represented in the form of amana, that's a big umbrella that covers morality, honesty, trustworthy, and modesty. He's an ameen person, he's an honest person. Then do not waste this chance. It doesn't matter where is he from the States, from China, from Uzbekistan, from Pakistan. There are some people who still live in the tribal mentality, even though they have moved to America or to Canada, but they think that the world is still stuck in a tribe or in a tribal way of thinking. No. Especially, you have no authority when it comes to supporting, funding, raising, or looking after your children. You yourself have been negligent of your duty towards them. And by the way, wallahi, this is a very big error. It's a very serious sin. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Kafa bil mar'i ithman an yudayya man ya'ul." And now he's stuck with prejudice and racism. He says, no. Well, if the case is as you said, then simply take your whole case to the nearby Islamic center or imam to investigate the case, and he will have the authority of giving you in marriage if it is as you said. The person should facilitate marriage. I have known people, mashallah, who are extremely rich, very, very rich. and mashallah religiously committed, and that's why they were looking for the right mate for their daughters. It doesn't matter even if they were broke, if they did not have a job, they assisted them. Many of my friends, many of the doctors whom I know in America, they even helped their sons-in-law to finish their education. They bought them a house. Why? Because he is looking for a man of commitment, a man of good manners, so that when he dies, he trusted him with his daughter, with his grandchildren. He shall remember all of these favors. But when you trust somebody because of a particular thing which is all about dunya, it may not work, right? So إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وأمانته فزوجوه. If you don't, تكن فتنة في الأرض وفساد عريض. That would lead to the widespread of mischief and corruption on earth. And this has been seen. May Allah the Almighty guide us what is best. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance and in your deen